Good evening, everybody. Back for another episode of Kerbal Space Program. I am JT Khan. Good to be with you. After the .19 update last week, decided that we'd start doing some spotlights and some mods that kind of fall into our storyline. So it was kind of tough deciding which one we were going to do first, but the unified Kerbal government made it easy for me. They decided that since we're able to get satellites orbiting around, that they want us to map the planet of Kerbal. So we happen to have a mod that'll fit that really nice in the ISA MapSat plugin mod. Any of these mods you can find on KerbalSpaceport.com, or very, very few of them are not listed on there, and you can find those on the forums at KerbalSpaceProgram.com. So let's get started. Let's get back into our Space Center, just the way we left it. There we go. And really what this plugin does, let me get our command pod. There we go. Get that in place. It's gonna be a real simple one, because it's really only gonna have one purpose for us. So we're just gonna use this cube. The ISA MapSat plugin adds two parts for us. It adds this mapping dish here that you can put on your parts, and it adds the GPA unit. Let's see if we can see that a little bit better. Maybe not. Anyway, you can kind of see that. The GPS unit you can put on things like rovers or landers. Basically what the plugin does is once we get into orbit and we get it powered, it will do an elevation mapping of the entire planet. And it doesn't just have to be Kerbal. You can send it to the moon, you can send it to Duna, you can send it to Eve, any planet. And really what we're going to use it for is to map Kerbal for the government. Then we're going to send one in the next episode. We're going to send one to the moon, and we're going to map out the height elevation of the moon so we can scout out potential landing areas. Along with doing a height elevation, it will also detect any artifacts that are on the planet, and there are some Easter eggs and some artifacts on each of the planets that you can land and check out. I'm not going to show them because everybody, I think, really wants to discover those for themselves, and the community, for the most part, tries to keep that spoiler-free. So I'm going to leave that for them. But the GPS unit, once you find anomalies, you can use a GPS unit on a lander or a rover, basically, to tell where you're at in relation to the artifacts. So let's get this built. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the dish right here on top, and the dish will actually pivot while the satellite's rotating in orbit, so it'll always be mapping stuff underneath it. We're going to put a battery in there. Actually, you know what? Let's put two batteries on. Why not? Put a second battery right there. On one side, we're going to put the OX4B solar panel. Put that guy right there. And on the other side, just for looks, basically, we're going to put the Communitron 16, which is basically a radio antenna. And basically that's for beaming the results of the map back to the space program, or the spaceport, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to build this up really quick. It's just going to be quick and simple like we've done before. So let's get this going. Okay, so there we go. Real simple launch vehicle there. We are going to name this MapSat 1A because we like to be redundant. Need to check our staging. The separatrons need to be with the decoupler. Main engine needs to be with the stabilizers. Look at those stabilizers. Wow. There we go. Save that. We're good to go. I will see you on the launch pad. Okay, and here we are. If you didn't catch the 0.19 update video we did last week, you'll notice that the in-progress launch pad is a lot different than it was before. Basically, it's got a collision mesh that's risen up above the planet, and the launch pad itself has changed. It's towerless. I think they're adding a tower later, but that's all right. Anyway, launch is going to be pretty standard compared to what we've done before. The only difference is going to be we're going to shoot for a polar orbit this time, which means our inclination we're going to shoot for between 85 and 90 degrees, which means that we are basically going to launch towards the North Pole and be a little bit to the side there, and our orbit's going to basically pass us between the North and South poles. And basically, what happens is once we get in here. Once we start orbiting from the North and South Pole, we're pretty much going to stay in place like this. The planet's going to rotate around us, which is going to allow us to basically continue mapping the entire planet as it rotates beneath us. So instead of turning to the right, like we usually do along the 90-degree equatorial plane, we're going to shoot basically forward from this view. We're going to go forward or north along the, I believe that's is that the 0-degree plane? Sorry, a little off tonight. What's going on? A little spacey. But yeah, so our launch is going to be pretty much the same as usual, except we're going to go north instead of heading east. So we're going to shoot for about around 300 or so kilometer orbit. The satellite does have a range, an effective range, and some people will go as far as I want to say like 100 kilometers, and some people will go up to 300 or 400 kilometers. I usually the last couple times I've messed around with it, have stayed right about 300, and it's worked out pretty well. One thing you want to do, especially if you have a slower computer, is it's not going to let me. Typically, you want to. Well, you know what? It's because I'm doing it wrong. Wow, this is excellent video making. You'll notice down here in the lower left-hand corner, there's a little icon that looks like a map compass. If you hover it over it, it says ISA MapSat. If you click that, it gives you the interface for the plugin. Right now, we've got a little blip there because we've actually mapped this. But if some people have found if you want to reduce lag while you're going through takeoff and orbital insertion, to turn map drawing off. And we'll go over what everything does here in a minute. But I just wanted to shut that off just so we didn't have any type of lag or anything. So let's get this puppy into orbit, and let's do this. We're gonna launch. Stability is on. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. Clear the pad. A little wobbly. I forgot. I was gonna turn. I guess I can actually lock the gimbal on this and see if it. No, it's not gonna work. Maybe if we locked gimbaling, it might help us out, but it doesn't. I'm going to throttle down a bit to keep it from exploding, if you got that. There we go. Adjust throttle to keep us within the 2G mark. Between 9 and 10 kilometers, we're going to tip over. Activate RCS for more stability. And we're going to tip forward. Wow. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit, just a tad, off of the line a little bit, because I don't really want to go true north. I want to be over just a little bit. We're about to ditch our first stage. There we go. First stage is away. And I'm going to turn us a bit because we're getting a little crazy there, and igniting the engine again. I'm going to go just a little bit over there so we get our... Alright, our apoapsis is raising. We want to cut off at 300. Cut off at 312. As you can see, we're a little bit off. I think that might be okay. We might adjust a little bit when we get up there. But we've got cut off for now. We are rising nicely out of the atmosphere. In fact, we are now clear of the atmosphere. So let's get our maneuver set up to circularize. Hey look, I said circularize right. I'm doing something right tonight. Drag our prograde vector out. And that looks pretty good actually right there. Well, that'll be alright. Open our nav ball at the bottom. Alright, and I'm gonna speed up a bit. I will catch you at topside. Alright, we are getting ready for burn here. Looks like we're still pretty much on target. And I'm gonna burn about at the 3-second mark to get this orbit circular. Alright, we've got an orbit of 312 kilometers by 306 kilometers. Not too terribly bad. We're close. Still not rocket science for us. Our orbit is a little more tilted than I like it, but it might be okay. Actually, you know what? This is a good time to show off how to change our inclination if we need to. So let's go ahead and do that. We're not going to do it by much, but whoa! Just hit the wrong button. We're at 320 by 311 now. Yeah, we've got enough fuel to do this. So right in between, typically, I want to say the apoapsis and periapsis is typically where I think the node is to change, or should I say at least make it more fuel efficient. So basically, we're going to create another maneuver node, but instead of using prograde and retrograde, our green handles, we're going to use our purple ones, or magenta. And that's our normal and anti-normal nodes. And that's going to tilt our orbit, as you can see. When I tilt it like this, it actually brings it up and down. And I'm just going to change it just a tad, right about there, actually. And it looks like it's not directly on that node, so it's going to change our orbit just slightly. But basically now what's going to happen is we're going to burn right at this node to change our orbit inclination just a little bit. Not quite true north, just a little off. So I'm going to get us in position for that. And from there, I'll see you when we're ready to burn. Okay, we are just about to burn here. We're only going to burn 81.4 meters a second, so it's going to be a real quick burn here. In fact, we may not burn full throttle for this. We're getting right about at that point. You can see our the orbital difference there, and we're just going to burn a bit. You can see it change in there, 20 meters. All right, there we go. We are in orbit. We've got plenty of electric charge. So what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect. We're going to decouple from our insertion stage, which is going to leave us by ourselves. And can't really see it much. Let me go forward a bit until we get into the light. There we go. We are just passing the South Pole. We're in the sunlight, so what we're going to do is we're going to extend our solar panels there, so we've got a good supply of power. It's already charging up for us. And let's extend our radio beacon there. And so now let's get to mapping. So let's check out the UI. There's the UI for us. Since you're capable of mapping different orbital bodies or different bodies in the solar system, you can switch between all of those with these arrows. So right now it's on Kerbal, but we can go to the Moon, Minmus, Moho, Eve. And that way, if you've got several maps that you've gone out and mapped, you can switch between them that way. You can switch your KSC positions on and off. There is our port there, and when you hover over a spot on the map, it'll actually give you the map coordinates. There's the second spaceport that's not used in the game. You can turn your current position on, which is usually what I do. You can turn anomalies on and off. And that will basically show you your anomalies, the artifacts and the Easter eggs or whatnot on the planet. I'm not going to turn that on because I don't want people to know. There's the Kerbalpedia that you can open that will give you information about all of the bodies in the solar system. Very useful stuff there. And map drawing on and off. That's where you turn your antenna on and off. And store raw data on and off. If you turn it on, it will store the coordinates into a file. I believe it's a CSV file, and you can plug it into programs to create your own height maps. There's also a plugin that comes with this that you can use to actually create your own images of the maps. And if you go to the Wikipedia, the Kerbal Space Program Wikipedia, or Wiki, sorry, usually when they show elevation maps, that's generated by this plugin. So it's a very cool thing. As you can see, this is in real time, and this will take forever. This will literally take like a day and a half. You can speed up. If you do that, you do not want to go above 50 times. So up here in the corner, we're at basically speed number 4. Anything over that, and it will stop recording its measurements. So this is basically as fast as you can go, and it's not too bad. Usually you can get this planet at least mapped within about, I want to say 30 or 45 minutes this way. But as you can see, we've gone to the other side, and so it's real sparse up here because we go by it so fast, but it will fill in as you go. But you'll notice it's mapping everything as it goes, and it'll go past the pole again as it's about to. It will wrap around and go back up, and it'll start recording another chunk. So that's uh, that's how that works. Another option of this is ISA right now. You can pick polar, and it will actually give you two polar maps, one from the North Pole, one from the South Pole. And that's very cool looking as well. You can basically just switch back and forth. And there are options when you run the exterior plugin to generate your image maps on if you want to have your image pop up as ISA or global. There's options if you want lines on it to draw the, I think it's like every 10 degrees or something like that. And I believe you can also change the settings on the height map. Right now it's set, the very bottom is minus 1,000 meters and the top is 4,000 meters. So definitely worth checking out and messing around with it and making some really cool maps that you can display on your computer. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this run, and we'll check back here in really about 30 minutes or so my time, and it will be much faster for you, and we'll check this map out when we're done. So I'll see you in a bit. Alright guys, we've been going, I don't know, about 20 or 30 minutes here. With the magic of editing, it's only been a few seconds for you guys. It's like a wormhole. And for the most part, we've got the map done of Kerbal. Typically, the few times that I've done this, I've gotten way better resolution than what we've got. Meaning I usually don't have any of these lines or dots in it. So I'm not sure if I'm a little high. May have needed to stay about 250 or so. So I may be a little high, but it's going to clean itself up as it goes around. Yeah, so that's the completed map, and I can export this using an external plugin to create an image map if I want to. Or I can just stare at it with great bewilderment on my computer screen. So that's going to be about it this time, guys. Next time, now that we've fulfilled our obligations to the unified Kerbal government, we're going to send a couple of probes to the moon. We're going to do two launches. One we're going to do manually, and the second we're going to use the must-have autopilot MacJeb, which I'd say about 90% of the people use. Some people really just like to do it everything by themselves, which is great. I think it's important to learn how to do it yourself and then use the autopilots afterwards, just because it makes things a little speedier and a little more accurate for the most part. So yeah, next time we're going to do that, and that's going to lead the way to some missions on the moon. So until next, guys, thanks for watching. Be well. And I will talk to you later.